Here in Geelong, Taiwan's Coast Guard is hoping the delivery of this new patrol ship will strengthen its maritime enforcement.
China and the Philippines are accusing each other of being the aggressor after the latest clash in a disputed part of the South China Sea. What does cutting down trees have to do with a potential Chinese invasion strategy? Plus, China is using a conference in Shanghai to promote itself as the leader of a new global order in AI. Good evening, and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. Taiwan has celebrated the addition of the latest vessel to its Coast Guard fleet. It comes as the country reports an increase in Chinese gray zone activities at sea. Alan Liu reports.
Here in northern Taiwan, the Coast Guard is taking delivery of a new patrol ship. The 1,000-ton vessel will be deployed in southern waters for support in maritime operations. The vessel, named the Penghu, is nearly 100 meters long and has a range of 6,000 nautical miles, or about 11,000 kilometers. It is designed to operate in heavy winds and is equipped with 2 water cannons capable of spraying up to 120 meters. This class of patrol vessel is designed to manage a whole host of operations in Taiwan's offshore waters: law enforcement, fisheries patrol, search and rescue missions, and response to gray zone activities.
我们这型的舰虽然号称是1000吨级但是满载排水量已经高达2100多吨了，那相较于过去的1000吨级巡防舰更长更大。
请接牌。
Besides taking delivery of the new vessel, the Coast Guard also launched its 6th patrol ship today, the Geelong. Under Taiwan's Coast Guard Vessel Development Program, the government plans to build a total of 141 ships by 2027. Only 2 vessels remain to be delivered, one 1,000-ton and one 600-ton patrol vessel.
这指的其实是我们国建国造。 其中有关于海巡筹建海巡舰艇发展计划即将完成最后一块拼图。
On Monday, Reuters reported that Chinese Coast Guard and research vessels were spotted around Taiwan 55 times in June, a 120% increase from the same period last year. Some of the Coast Guard vessels were converted from Chinese military ships, raising concerns here. Taiwan's Coast Guard is meant to counter this kind of activity. As China continues to step up its gray zone activities at sea, demand for Coast Guard ships is also growing. By 2027, Taiwan plans to build a new fleet of similar vessels to help manage increasing threats. Devon Tai and Ellen Lu in Geelong for TaiwanPlus.
China and the Philippines are blaming each other for a new clash in a disputed part of the South China Sea. John Van Trieste reports.
A fresh showdown between China and the Philippines in the South China Sea. In this Chinese footage, Philippine sailors in rubber dinghies challenge a Chinese Coast Guard boat off the disputed Second Thomas Shoal. China says the Philippine vessels were behaving aggressively. But this footage, released by the Philippines, tells a different story. Chinese Coast Guard personnel attacking the Philippine sailors with blunt weapons, not far from where the Philippines maintains a garrison outpost on the shoal. Manila says one of its sailors was struck with a baton. Both sides blamed the other for Monday's clash. China has kept up pressure on the Philippines here in the South China Sea, which it claims almost in its entirety. Beijing rejects an international ruling a decade ago in the Philippines' favor, and skirmishes like this one are the result. On the surface, it may seem like the timing of this clash could be significant. Relations between the two countries are tense, with a war of words and more, including a caricature of the Philippines in China's state media that Manila says is racist. The Philippines has just marked 10 years since the international arbitration in its favor. And Manila is just about to hold an international foreign ministers meeting that China's foreign minister Wang Yi, among others, will attend. But some analysts see all this as coincidence, part of an ebb and flow in tensions over many years that's unlikely to lead to a major escalation. They even say the potential impact on U.S.-China relations could be limited. The U.S. State Department condemned China's role in this clash, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio could still meet with China's Wang Yi on the sidelines in Manila.
there may be an exchange of angry words, but unless there is further accumulation of events and potentially further escalation, if things get more tense, then perhaps it could become an issue. But for right now, I'm guessing that there could be some sharp words exchanged, but nothing really beyond that.
Taiwan has its own claims in the South China Sea, including over Second Thomas Shoal. The Foreign Ministry has condemned China's use of violence and urged both sides to exercise restraint and respect international law.
在此也要呼吁相关国家维护区域的和平稳定，以及以国际法与联合国海洋法公约为基础的国际海洋秩序。
With Beijing's rejection of the ruling on its maritime claims, though, peace and stability may continue to be relative terms in these contested waters. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Tokyo says a Chinese destroyer held live-fire drills within what Japan claims as its exclusive economic zone. Japan's self-defense force says the destroyer was operating off Japan's Okinotorishima early Sunday, alongside 2 other Chinese naval vessels and 1 Russian Navy ship. This is the first time Japan has disclosed Chinese live-fire drills within what it claims as its economic waters. Though the drills did not break international rules, Tokyo says it closely monitored the ships. Would a crisis in the Taiwan Strait constitute a national emergency for Japan? Is Taiwan doing enough for its own defense? That's what TaiwanPlus reporter Reese Ayers asked Kenneth Weinstein, the Japan chair at the Hudson Institute, during his visit to Taipei.
Just this morning, China was firing live ammunition inside the EEZ of one of Japan's Pacific islands. We know that recently Japan has been investing a lot more in its military, but practically speaking, is Tokyo really ready to treat a Taiwan Strait contingency as an actual security emergency?
If there were a Taiwan contingency, in my view, that would be a Japanese national emergency. That would entail evacuation of Japanese citizens from here. It would pose a challenge to Japan, both in the sense that American military facilities in Japan could potentially be targets for Chinese aggression, as these facilities would be used to bolster Taiwanese security.
And does Trump want Japan to play a bigger role than it currently is in the Indo-Pacific?
Donald Trump has been very clear that he wants our allies and partners to step up, to do their fair share, to move from being security customers, as it were, to becoming security providers. That they shouldn't be client states of the United States who expect us to come in and protect them, but they really have to provide for their own security, and Japan is doing that. We're waiting the 3 new security documents that Japan is producing this year: the National Security Strategy, the National Defense Strategy, the Defense Build-Up Plan. They've added a new plan as well on defense industrial-based capabilities, and Japan is really seriously focusing for the first time.
And what does that mean for US-China relations?
It means that China has to understand that our alliance system is a source of massive strength in the region.
And Taiwan, is it becoming a bargaining chip in the relationship between the US and China?
Taiwan is not a bargaining chip. That's how China sees it. For us, it's not. It is a thriving democracy. It is a major global economic superpower. But we need Taiwan to do much more for its own national security. What we don't want is a situation in which we are expected to carry the massive load of burden in the Taiwan Strait at a time when our armed forces have been taxed by the current war with Iran, by our need to aid Ukraine.
What do you think Taiwan's government should prioritize now to bolster their own security?
You should be able to have an integration between air, surface, underwater, and even land autonomous vehicles, so that you can make up for the quantitative edge that China has using Taiwan's extraordinary qualitative edge. And you do that, and you think through all the contingencies, and you loop these systems into imagining the worst possible contingencies, you will be as well prepared as you possibly can be to deter a Chinese invasion.
That was Kenneth Weinstein, Japan chair of the Hudson Institute. India has big plans for its strategically placed Great Nicobar Island with a megaport, airport, and new city. The mega project is expected to rival Chinese development in the region, but some residents are concerned about the changes that are already taking shape there. John is back with this report.
India's Great Nicobar Island is a world away from busy Delhi or Mumbai. It's a lush place. About 95% of it is covered in forests with unique species and perhaps more undiscovered ones. But change is coming, and quickly. India plans to put $9 billion into building a megaport, an airport, and an entire new city here. About a fifth of the land will need to be cleared. There will be bridges, docks, and roads. It's a calculated move. This island and its neighbors sit in an important spot in the Andaman Sea, and one rival China is watching closely.
And you need to keep watch on Bay of Bengal. You need to keep a watch on increasing forays by different navies, including the Chinese Navy, into the area. So you need upgraded infrastructure, enhanced capabilities, which is being provided now.
India looks with suspicion at Chinese facilities around the Indian Ocean, describing them as a, quote, string of pearls meant to entrench Chinese influence and hamper India's own rise. The mega project on Great Nicobar will counter that. The island is close to Southeast Asia and sits at one entrance to the Strait of Malacca, which carries 30% of global trade. In addition to civilian infrastructure, secretive military plans are afoot for the islands too. India's government says the project meets all green requirements, with protected zones for local people, flora, and fauna. But some are uneasy. Barnabas Manju is one of around 1,200 indigenous people here. He foresees the last vestiges of his group's traditional ways disappearing.
Our tribe's livelihood depends on the jungle and the sea. We catch fish from the sea and used forest resources for food and daily needs. We have traditionally depended on hunting. If we lose access to these lands, our culture will also be lost.
And there are even more isolated groups, like the hunter-gathering Shompen people. As the project attracts waves of outsiders, it could put pressure on their traditional way of life and the lands they depend on.
So to me, it is a sheer imposition of development on the Shompen. So this much I can say.
And some settlers from the Indian mainland, or their descendants, feel compensation for their displacement is not enough.
Our lives feel completely destroyed. The land rates being offered are not fair, and the housing being provided is very small compared to what we are losing. Even the current house was allocated by the government, but if we're given proper housing now, that would still be acceptable.
Whether locals are satisfied or not, geopolitics is geopolitics. And the reality here is already changing. The first $4 billion phase, a port and airport, could be done within 3 years. A container port built from scratch will become one of India's 3 biggest ports. It's meant to make China sit up and notice. The question now is whether New Delhi can deliver the balance between national interests and local protections that it's promised. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
And coming up after the break, Taiwan's top economic think tank forecasts GDP growth of more than 10% this year.
There's so many things that I wish the world could see.
It is amazing to watch this captain maneuver this giant ship.
It takes 3 days to cook this. The flavor is unbelievable, incredible.
And it's my turn to make something inspired by Chef Gore. It's going to be quite a challenge.
Can you imagine that?
It's surreal. Yes, so real.
I can't give up. I got some ass kicking to do.
Nice move. We're pushing each other to explore and experiment in new, different ways.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News.
exploring the issues that matter to you.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
很多时候是我们眼睛看不到的地方。
We might encounter mishaps and mistakes along the way. But at the end of the day,
it just transmits something straight from the heart. Yes.
Cheers.
Bon appetit. It is about the fun and it's about the glamour and it's also about something much deeper than that.
Sometimes you just gotta seize the opportunity. You just gotta do it.
Have a place where you're appreciated for you exactly as you are and where you can shine and be seen.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app and follow us on social media.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app or follow us on social media. And by the way, this over here is drone soccer.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan's stock market posted its largest ever single-day point gain on Tuesday, following days of weak performance. The main index, the TAIEX, gained more than 1,780 points, closing up 4.2% at just over 44,000. This comes as chip giant TSMC, which makes up more than 40% of the benchmark index, jumped nearly 4%. Other tech giants, including MediaTek, Delta, and Foxconn, also saw their shares rise, helping lift the broader market. The head of Taiwan's top economic think tank has announced its newest prediction for the country's GDP growth this year.
我们台积电最新的出来大概会破10，跟中研院一样会破10，因为出口实在太强，所以因为未来的AI 的商机至少到2028年都没有问题。
Zhang Jianyi says Taiwan has been riding the global AI boom, with its tech sector supplying global AI giants, boosting the country's economic growth. The forecast comes as the institute marks its 50th anniversary. Speaking at the event, the economy minister highlighted Taiwan's growing cooperation with other countries in AI and non-red supply chains.
欧洲现在也开始，现在甚至于日本也要开始纷纷跟我们合作。除了这个 AI 跟半导体之外包括这个下一世代的通讯也好，或者是军工产业、无人机甚至于关键矿物，那这个都强调飞鸿。
Taiwan's GDP grew by about 8.6% last year. China is showcasing its latest artificial intelligence technology at its biggest AI conference in Shanghai. But beyond the displays, Beijing is using the event to promote itself as a global AI leader, offering an open-source alternative to the US-led approach. Lily Lamattina reports.
An entire hall of humanoid robots, dancing, boxing, and looking eerily human-like. This is the 2026 World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai, where Chinese companies are showcasing how quickly the country's artificial intelligence technology is advancing. But the technology on display is only part of the story. The conference has also become a stage for China's global ambitions. Chinese President Xi Jinping used the platform to cast Beijing as the champion of a new global AI order, one that challenges the U.S.
帮助全球南方国家加强能力建设，弥合数质鸿沟，促进可持续发展，避免在人工智能领域造成新的历史不公。
Xi's keynote pitched China's AI coalition as a rival to the U.S.-led Pax Silica initiative to secure global AI and critical mineral supply chains. He framed China's open source models as a public good, where Beijing would share technology and expertise with countries across the global south. And analysts say China's rapid advancement in open source models gives that message added weight.
China is obviously doing extremely well in open models right now. Many of the most advanced open models are coming out of China. There's a really vibrant ecosystem of open AI coming out of China right now. And I think that from the US perspective, if those models were to have advanced cyber capabilities in the way that Mythos does, that would be a huge concern.
That confidence was echoed on the exhibition floor. Chinese participants say they believe that although China has trailed the U.S. in the most advanced AI models, that gap is narrowing fast.
我们觉得从大模型来说，肯定还是稍微略微落后一些，但是并不是无法追赶的。至少今天我来逛的感受就是，我们有信心能在短时间内，或者说在3年5年的时间内去赶上美国的这样的一个基础模型的能力。
Across the exhibition halls, conversations also went beyond product demonstrations, with international visitors exploring new business opportunities. As Washington and Beijing compete for leadership in artificial intelligence, China's biggest AI gathering is becoming more than just new technology. It's a signal that the AI race between the US and China is heating up rapidly. Patrick Chun and Lily Lamattina for TaiwanPlus.
A former TSMC employee could face jail time for stealing trade secrets for China in what prosecutors are calling the first case of its kind. The defendant, a former deputy manager surnamed Chen, is accused of copying 21 of the company's confidential documents. Prosecutors are recommending a 7-year sentence. He is charged with violating Taiwan's National Security Act for attempting to steal trade secrets for use in China. The case came to light during an investigation into a spy ring tied directly to the Chinese military. Sun and others had planned to recruit Taiwanese semiconductor talent to work for a Chinese firm. The removal of some trees in Taipei has become the subject of online conspiracy claims, with some people alleging that it could be linked to Chinese military operations. The city government has rejected those claims and warned of possible legal action. But as Larry Isiano reports, experts are concerned about the broader impact of false information online.
What does a city government cutting down trees have to do with a potential Chinese invasion strategy? On its face, nothing. But on popular social media platforms like Threads, conspiracy theories have spread, with some users claiming that trees being removed in the heart of the capital, Taipei, could help facilitate China's drone operations. What may have started as local residents complaining about routine tree cuttings has evolved into something very different. Post after post has raised questions, shared speculation, or presented alleged evidence to support the claims circulating online. Some posts suggest the removal of trees near the presidential office could make drone attacks easier, or allow Chinese helicopters to land, or say that it feels like an intelligence operation before a decapitation strike. Other posts draw comparisons between Taipei's changing landscape and a reported Chinese training ground replicating the area around the presidential office and other government buildings. But questions have been raised over the authenticity of some of these images or materials. A fact-checking specialist says at least one was AI generated.
那我们其实也可以看到，从那个影片里面，包括就是它的光影的变化，然后我们透过了一些就是 AI 的侦测工具，其实就可以很明显的看得出来。
The Taipei city government has issued 2 statements refuting the claims, saying that it has planted nearly 10,000 more trees than it removed. It said the vast majority of the roughly 3,000 trees cut down were removed due to natural death, pests, or safety concerns. Both the city government and the mayor have warned that those spreading misinformation could face legal consequences. But despite the warnings, similar posts continue to spread. A map circulating online highlights areas near the presidential office where all the trees were supposedly cut down. But here we are on one of those streets, and as you can see, all the trees are still here. Taiwan's national security team declined to comment on specific internet rumors, but said it will continue to strengthen cyber defense and work with other government agencies to safeguard the online environment. But experts warn that online posts like these should be taken seriously, as they could further deepen political divides or fuel public anxiety amid growing cross-strait tensions.
那它其实会产生一些那种政治极化的结果。第一个，它可能会就是反而对政治越来越冷感，因为觉得你们好像什么议题都要操作成两岸议题。那第二个，就是这同温层的人，他们就会觉得好像，他们就会非常有那个危机意识，这样子就感觉好像真的是有。就是真的要打来的这样子，那他们其实就会变得就削弱了整个社会信任，然后也是增加整个社会的不稳定性这样。
What started as a debate over tree removals has become an example of how quickly an online narrative can spread and spin out of control. And as Taiwan heads into local elections later this year, the impact of false information online could grow much bigger. Fu Huaheng and Larry Siano for TaiwanPlus.
A consumer group is launching a class action lawsuit against makers of tainted cooking oil that got into school lunches. The oil contained excessive levels of a cancer-causing chemical. And while school meals are just one of the places the oil ended up, the Consumer Protection Association in Taiwan is focusing on potential harm to students. It is accepting evidence from schools until late October. It expects a payout of around $186 million if it wins the case. A new law protecting delivery workers is now in force here in Taiwan. The new rules address concerns that delivery platforms have had too much power over their workers. Drivers are now guaranteed a minimum amount per delivery, and platforms must operate with greater transparency when it comes to assignments and contracts. Meanwhile, consumers will have more rights concerning subscriptions, fees, and refunds. Delivery worker unions have welcomed the new law, but leading platforms like Foodpanda and Uber Eats say they may have to raise prices to comply with it. And thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we head to northern Italy, where an artist used a tractor to draw Spain's World Cup trophy in a field. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. See you next time.